Fantastic. So, a very warm welcome to this evening's session, or whatever time of day you're deciding to watch it. My name is Mike George, and for those who know me, then we'll have met before in previous sessions here at Wembley. And for those who don't know me, um, I have the honor of being your guide and navigator for the next hour. And my background is really all about sort of coaching, teaching, writing, lecturing. I wear many hats, basically. And one of the hats I wear, as some of you know already, is as an author. So I have a number of books out around the particular topic that we're going to explore together tonight. So thanks very much once again for signing up and signing in. And I hope you enjoy some of the ideas that I share with you. I hope they're useful. And if you do have questions, because I'm sure that what I am about to share with you is going to raise as many questions as answers, then feel free to fire them into inner space there in Wembley. And they'll forward them on to me, and I'll answer them in due course. I'd be happy to answer them, in fact. Um, so a number of years ago, as I was plotting new books, etc., I kind of realized that the one thing that gets in the way of our ability to be at peace within ourselves, our ability to connect well with others, our ability to live a happy, fulfilled life, basically, are the beliefs that we've kind of absorbed from the day we've arrived, really, from parents, teachers, education system, culture, media, etc. And these beliefs that we've kind of assimilated and absorbed over the years in different ways for different people at different times, they've kind of got in the way of our ability to be authentic, to be to follow a course in life that is going to take us to a destination that is defined by a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction, etc. So, as I looked out into the big wide world, I noticed that many of these beliefs are embedded in this very huge industry now called personal development. And if you switch on social media, or you surf the net, or even if you have a job at work, then you're encouraged to a huge degree now to pay the money and be developed personally in some degree or other. And personal development basically means, well, it means a variety of things at a variety of levels. But the essence of personal development is affirming a belief system which is kind of sabotaging our lives without really realizing that it is. So my aim in the next hour really is, or so, let's see how long I go for, is to kind of scope out some of these beliefs and maybe begin to understand why actually personal development is not always such a good thing, but maybe it's relevant to do the opposite, to undevelop, to unlearn, to undo what's already been done, what's already been learned, what's already been assimilated within our consciousness. So, as always, I'm coming from the point of view that consciousness is key, is the key idea that we need to understand. And that basically means that each one of us is essentially a conscious being, whether you call it soul, spirit, heart, self, or whatever label you give to it. It's this energy that occupies and animates the material energy of our form. And so it's into this energy that ideas like personal development and all the beliefs that we've learned up until this point in our life have been absorbed. And these live, they exist in our consciousness. Some at a very deep level, some at a not such deep level, some at a very deep memory, subconscious memory even, and others are much closer to the surface. And so the reason why personal undevelopment, or kind of unlearning, let's look at unlearning first, the reasons why these beliefs have to be unlearned is that when you unlearn them, when you see through them, when you see these beliefs are not the truth, then it kind of sets you free a little bit. It liberates you on the inside. Yeah, maybe other people don't know. You don't need to say anything, but it's when you have the aha. Now I understand how this particular belief is getting in the way of me being free within myself and therefore happy within myself. Because you can't be happy unless you're free. So there's a number of beliefs in different areas of our life. So I'll just run through some of them very quickly with you, and you can see whether they resonate with you, whether they apply to you, or to what extent they do. And the first, the most common area is to do with time. It's our perception and understanding of time. And there's three basic beliefs or illusions that we all absorb about time, which we trot out automatically every day, sometimes saying to people. And those beliefs are, number one, if we hurry up, we'll save time. Or if we if we do if we do it later, there'll be more time later. Or sometimes we say, quick, 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 time is running out. And so this is the idea that time is something separate from us, something that we can measure. You know, have you ever seen time run out? Have you ever seen more time later than there is now? And so it's like we try to separate it. And when we try to separate time from ourselves, then these particular beliefs, these illusions about time, they generate anxiety, which is fear, really. And so that anxiety, that generation of anxiety, becomes a habit in our consciousness. So that's coming from the belief that time is something separate from ourselves. But the truth is, time is what I am, and I have all the time in the world. Time management is attention management, essentially. Most popular seminar in the world, perhaps, but yet time management is really what I give my attention to at any particular moment in time, at any particular moment in my life. So time is what I am. And I get a whole batch of it every day. I am a whole batch of it every day, and I get to spend it as I want to. And so actually these illusions about time, once you get rid of them, you begin to free yourself up on the inside. The second area where there's a very common belief, and I'm just going to touch on these areas. There's many beliefs embedded in each one, which we kind of need to challenge and liberate ourselves from. The second area is to do with this most common ailment in the world today, otherwise known as stress. Everyone's stressed out today. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone's rushing around. Although, at this particular point in human history, someone's been invoking this idea, please stop the world, I want to get off. And of course they have. Someone stopped the world, and we all have the chance to get off. And so we all have the chance to relax a bit, as long as we don't absorb too much information from social media, etc. And so this is the whole idea of stress. And sort of, it's a common word found in most of our conversations. I'm so stressed out, there's so much to do, there's not enough time, etc. Very much connected to time. But the belief around stress I'd like to look at the moment is this idea that someone else is responsible for your feelings of stress, for your stressful feelings. And of course, we all kind of know, I'm sure if you attend these sessions quite regularly, then you'll particularly probably hear this insight in most of them. And the fact is that I'm responsible for my feelings. No one else is responsible for how I feel right now. But we grow up learning to point the finger, to project blame for the emotions that we feel. And that's because we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand how to generate the appropriate feelings in the appropriate moment in the appropriate relationship. We tend to project and believe someone else is responsible for my feelings. So until I kind of get that truth really clear, only then can I bring it through in my actions and interactions. And then there's another whole area around work. You know, I don't know if you've ever met someone who's said to you maybe, oh, I didn't enjoy that job. I had to leave it. It wasn't giving me what I wanted, really, and so I had to change jobs. And this is the belief that work, or the job you do in life, should give you satisfaction, should give you happiness, should give you fulfillment. But actually, life is not designed like that. Life is designed the other way around. This is really funny when you see it, is that work is an opportunity to give of yourself, just like relationships are an opportunity to give of yourself. They're not contexts in which I go and get something. They're an opportunity to go and give something. And it's only when you give freely and give openly and give without this desire, this tension that comes with desire to get something in return, it's only when you give of yourself that you generate, paradoxically, this feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction on the inside. And so life actually works from the inside out, not the outside in. No person, no job, no circumstances is designed to give me what I want, which is a feeling of joy, feeling of happiness, feeling of satisfaction. It's the other way around. And I'm sure we all know this, because whenever you have given of yourself, freely and openly, without wanting anything in return, maybe helping someone, guiding someone, then you felt great afterwards. Not just afterwards, but during the process. And so this is a signal, it's a secret. That the truth is, life is not designed to give me, it's designed to give me, well, maybe one thing, and that's the opportunity to give of myself. So then that takes us into the whole area of happiness, and happiness. There's a belief system around happiness which we've all absorbed and which tends to run all our lives. And it's the big mistake around happiness, really, is we get happiness mixed up with pleasure. And so we believe that when we experience some kind of pleasure, when we buy some kind of pleasure, or go somewhere to experience some kind of pleasure, the holiday, the car, the house, the suit, dress, oh, they make me so happy. Oh, this person makes me so happy. And so the truth is, the reality is that pleasure is not happiness. Pleasure is always short-lived. You can't sustain pleasure, otherwise you'll get very frustrated and irritated after a while, because pleasure is a stimulation, and a stimulation has to be ramped up. It's like an addiction, it's like a drug, really. Whenever you're dependent to be stimulated by something or someone or some event on the outside, you're going to need more tomorrow and more the next day and more the next day in order to feel the same amount of pleasure, which you get mixed up with happiness. And so we settle for a life of pleasure. Most of us do, anyway, or many of us do. And so because we're carrying that belief. And that belief can be traced back to what I kind of mentioned right at the beginning, is this illusion around who and what I am. We tend to believe we're just a physical form. That's why when we waken up and look in the mirror in the morning, we go, oh, and because we believe we are what we see, we believe we're just an appearance. And so when you believe you're just a physical form, then you then naturally believe that your pleasure is going to come through the stimulation of the five senses of the form. And so this is where addiction begins. Not just addiction to drugs, but addiction to any stimulation. I want more of your company because I'm addicted to you. I want more of that movie because I'm addicted to the movie. Or I want more of that chocolate because I'm addicted to the taste of the chocolate. So the addiction has its roots in the belief that happiness only comes through stimulation, which is not happiness. It might be pleasure, but it's not real, authentic, self-generated happiness. True happiness, once again, comes from inside out. That's why I often share the very simple code for life, if I could call it that, or the simplest, if I could reduce life down to 6 words, it would be these 6 words. Peace is, love does, and happiness rewards. So peace is what I am. It's my true underlying nature, to be at peace within myself. Whether you call it calm or tranquility or patient or whatever. But peace is my core state of being. It's always there. Love is what I'm here to do. When you restore that state of being called peacefulness, then you'll begin to notice there's a natural inclination to reach out and to give, to be giving towards something outside of yourself. And that's what love does. Love is the movement of that energy, the intention to give. And then when you give with anything with love, and everyone knows this, then the natural reward, it's not a reward like a monetary reward, it's the reward that comes from inside out, and you could call that contentment. That's the deepest level of human happiness, is to be content. You're fulfilled, you're satisfied within yourself. No one teaches us this at school, and I don't even think they teach us this in our personal development courses. Spiritual development, maybe, but then it's not developed because it's already innate, it's already there. It's a natural state. You don't need to learn how to do it. You need to get everything out of the way within your consciousness, and this will emerge naturally. And that's what we're doing, really. We're looking at what's in the way. So there's a whole belief system around success as well as happiness. There's success. Most people believe that you can't be happy unless you're successful. And so I usually then say to people, there's one big question in life that you're going to have to answer at some stage for yourself. And that is, what does success mean to me? Most people think success is achievement. They think it's the acquisition of something or someone, and they think it's the passing an exam, or the achievement of a task, or the completion of a process, or whatever. You have to decide what success is for you. But if you make it externally conditioned, if you place success as an external conditionality, then it's going to be dependent on being recognized by others. Yeah, in other words, if it's the winning of the race, or the game, or if it's the accumulation of stuff, or it's the raise in the status of your career or whatever, if you base your success on those things, then you're going to probably need to be recognized by others. The achievement is going to need to be recognized. So that's what makes you needy and dependent on others. Whereas wisdom, the wiser people, they look at success a little bit differently. They look at success as an inner state. In other words, can I remain really calm and focused when everyone around me wants to see chaos and wants to be stressed? Can I remain, focused in my ability to connect to them and to help them see with greater clarity? Or can I? It might be, can I, over a long period of time, sustain and build a set of family relationships, which are really positive, clear. People around me and my family are happy with me. They're happy with themselves. Can I bring children up to successfully, successfully relate to other people in a way that doesn't cause stress, doesn't cause violence, doesn't cause conflict, etc. And so there's different levels, definitions of success in life, and it really depends on you personally, us individually, about what level we decide to define it. And I'm not here to tell you how you should define success for yourself, but I would recommend at least once in your life you take some time out and you ask that question. And there's a whole area of conflict. Some people say conflict is good; it's necessary in order to progress, to find different ways of relating to each other. And that can be true in some situations. But for me, conflict is a sign of violence. There's going to be some violence between two parties. And that violence within conflict, which many people believe is good, is actually originating within human consciousness, within one side of the conflict, usually both sides, where they're very attached to some belief. And that belief is usually, I'm right and you're wrong. This is what we should do, not that. Not what you think, what I think. And I need to convince you that I'm more right than you. And so if you look at any conflicting situation, whether it's a war between countries, or it's two people arguing, or it's you and the kids over the breakfast table, you'll always be able to boil down all conflict down to, it's just two sides holding on to their own belief system. One believes they're right, as does the other, and those beliefs are not the same. And so that's why you get conflict, because we're very attached to beliefs. And when you get attached to a belief, it's like you close yourself, you close your consciousness around the actual idea, the belief in your mind. And that means you're closed to the other person. That means you're going to be resistant towards them. You're going to put up a barrier, and you're going to throw out an energy which is not going to be conducive to harmony in the relationship. And that's why you see all conflict is not a happy place to be in, because essentially we're violating ourselves. Conflicts are violent, usually, whether it's physically or emotionally, but the real root cause is there's a violation of oneself, and that violation of oneself is to hold on to an idea, to a belief. And that's like it can be quite subtle and quite deep sometimes. You can't see it, but that's what's going on. I'm violating my natural state by holding on to something. That's unnatural to do that. It's natural to be open and to be free and to be connected and to communicate clearly and etc. That's a natural outward flowing of your consciousness. But as soon as you hold on to anything, and in the case of a conflict, it's you're holding on to my belief is right, then you're closing yourself. You're sabotaging yourself. It's very interesting once you get down and some people say, but you have to have an opinion. You have to have a point of view. There's something wrong with you if you don't have an opinion. And if you look at very closely at your opinion, that means that there's a belief that's centered in that opinion. And then you're going to defend that belief. You're going to fight for that belief because you believe underneath that belief is right. And so we create a lot of anxiety for ourselves and a lot of disharmony in whoever we're relating to. And then life becomes very unnatural. We feel, oh, God, I've just got to survive another day with that person or that situation. And then life becomes a very unhappy journey. Maybe the last area where we've absorbed a particular belief that is sabotaging our life is around the idea of love. And we've all been programmed to believe, once again, that love has to come from outside in. You have to find someone in your life who's going to be the source of love for you. And really that searching is really not really for love. It's really for a sense of, I'm okay now. I've got my love. I'm in love. There's love in my life now, and it's coming from outside in. And really, when we think like that, we believe we've found our sense of security in life, because that's what love is for a human being. The consciousness of a human being, it is a sense. The ultimate sense of security is to be an environment, a loving environment. And we kind of believe the only environment is the one outside. So we believe love has to come from outside, has to be acquired, really. And what no one teaches us is that it's what I am. Love is what I am. The vibration, the highest vibration of our consciousness is described by the word love. And it generates an intention to be outgoing, to be of giving in our nature. It generates that intention. But we're taught the opposite. We're taught that no, don't give, don't. If you give too much, people take advantage. If you give too much, you'll lose what you've already got. And so we get warned against that giving in our personal development courses or whatever. And so the truth is, for me anyway, it might not be for you, is that love is what I am. It's not something separate from us. But we can't feel it, we can't appreciate it, we can't be aware of it because of all these other beliefs that are in the way, that keep us trapped. They're in our consciousness, we've absorbed and assimilated them over time, but they keep us trapped in fear, in anger, in sadness. Oh no, I don't want to lose. I can't lose. What if they don't do this? And I'll lose my reputation. I'll lose the opportunity. I'll lose that person. And so we're always creating anxiety out of fear of loss. And so that's what's really sabotaging my ability to be in a state of love, because the opposite of fear is love. Well, that's not a new idea. It's been around for a while. But what gets in the way? What's distorting the energy uh, of me as love into me as being the source of fear in life? And it's just this one thing, this idea of attachment to something or holding on to someone. Yeah, or whenever you hear the word mine, it's my car, it's my wife, it's my kids, it's my job, it's my house. As soon as you hear the word my, then you're kind of guaranteeing that you are going to distort the energy of your consciousness into fear. So, I mean, these are just some of the beliefs that kind of get in the way, and we've learned them, we've assimilated them, and unless we unlearn them, unless we undo them, then it's not possible to be okay, to be at peace within ourselves, and be able to connect well with the people around us. And so that's why it's necessary to embark on what's sometimes called the spiritual journey. Well, whether you call it the journey of awareness or the journey of realization, it doesn't really matter. But it's necessary to take these ideas for yourself. You can be helped by books and teachers and courses and groups and so on. But essentially, this kind of work of challenging and surfacing and becoming aware of these beliefs in our own consciousness has to be done, in my humble point of view, by yourself. It has to be done by the self. So this is the idea of unlearning and the necessity to unlearn what's already there. And then the second area that I want to just look at very, very briefly is not unlearning, but undeveloping itself. In the development of these habits of activity, at their core, their beliefs, but we've developed, because of certain beliefs, certain habits. And that's really what I'd like to look at. Sometimes personal development is also accompanied by this idea of personal growth. In fact, the two get mixed up quite a bit. Personal development is personal growth. And this idea that you have to be growing through your life. There has to be some personal growth going on for life to be worthwhile. In that sense, that's what we learn to believe. That's what we learn to believe. And I was wondering where this idea of growth comes from. And it occurred to me that everything around us in the world, everything we look at, everything that we see, physically at least, is going through a process of growth. Everything grows. Plants grow and trees grow and flowers grow. Organizations grow, teams grow. People seem to grow. You go from a little baby to a big adult. And so there's this idea of growing up. You grow up. So it's all over, it's all around us all the time. And so we then learn to believe that I need to grow. Personal growth is important in my life. And so we learn to believe. And therefore we learn to act in ways that will hopefully help us to grow. But from a spiritual point of view, from the point of view or the point of understanding of who I am, really, it's actually the opposite that I need to do. Or to put it this way, the reality, and this might be quite tricky for you to kind of grasp or see, because it's quite subtle actually in some ways, is that you and I, we don't grow. The self, the I that says I am, the being, not Mike George, yeah, not the physical thing that you're looking at right now on the screen. You could say they grow, but the I, who I am, I don't grow, ever. I accumulate, but I don't grow. I don't need to grow. And what's been happening is we've been accumulating many ideas, many beliefs, many experiences, many insperiences actually throughout our life. And we've gathered all of those, and now they're all recorded and memorized in me, in my consciousness. And so it's these accumulations, these beliefs, these ideas, these mistakes, if you like, the memories of many mistakes, that they've accumulated in our consciousness. They are what's in the way of me being aware of myself as I truly am. Yeah. So we've developed, it's like a scaffolding in our consciousness. We've gradually developed this, there's grown this scaffolding of experiences and ideas and beliefs and through lessons and whatever's gone on in our life so far. And we said, oh God, we'll have more of that. Because the more of that you get, the more experiences and other people's ideas, the more books you read, the more documentaries you watch, the more information you absorb, then the more you will be growing as an individual. Is that true? When you really understand the journey, you call it spiritual journey, journey of awareness or whatever, when you really understand the real journey, the real opportunity of life, which is to restore yourself to your original, pristine, beautiful, natural state, then it's not a question of accumulating, developing more. It's a question of getting rid of what's already been accumulated, what's already been developed. It's a little bit like one of my favorite metaphors is the the galleon that's found at the bottom of the sea with all the treasures in it, and they discover all the treasure and they bring up each treasure at one at a time, and then they take it and they very carefully they take away the seaweed and the barnacles and the dirt and everything that's kind of accumulated around the goblet, and they take everything away, and there at the very heart is the original goblet. It's exactly the same, and a bit of polishing, and it's just beautiful. So it didn't lose anything. Yeah, it just gained a lot of rubbish. So that's like the metaphor for us. We haven't lost anything. We haven't become someone else. We've tried to. We've tried to build our sense of self out of what we're not. That's what we're trained to do. That's what we learn to do. But in reality, we are the original. I am the original. Goblet's a good metaphor, but the original being of consciousness. And so to restore that, it's necessary to undo, undevelop, get rid of what's been accumulated along the way. In other words, sometimes people say it, I need to clean up my act. I need to get myself cleaned out. And you could say detoxify if you like. And if you think about it, we spend a lot of money purifying our water. They say there's 7 toxic components to water, chemicals and heavy metals and so on. And we spend a lot of money putting that water through different mechanisms to get rid of those and to purify the water. We do the same with air. Is in some places they filter the air. And so what are they doing? They're getting rid of everything which is corrupting, which is polluting that very natural element just at a physical level. And so they're purifying, they're undeveloping the natural elements that we need physically to. But of course, we're not talking physically. I'm just once again using that as a metaphor. That if we want to restore our natural, original, gorgeous, beautiful, radiant self, which is what we all are, deep down, then I have to get rid of everything that's in the way. Whether you call it purification, detoxification, unaccumulation or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But we kind of started doing that when we looked at those individual areas in our lives and we looked at the beliefs that we've accumulated and absorbed around those areas, and there's many more, then we're beginning to see through the beliefs. And when you see through, or you actually see under, you see at a deeper level, you reveal to yourself, when you challenge those beliefs, you reveal to yourself a deeper truth. Yeah, and that requires, it's got to require some kind of effort, some kind of work, not physical work, but the work of what are you giving your attention to? What are you prepared to question? What are you prepared to look at? What are you prepared not just to accept at face value? Not out of resistance, not out of, oh, I don't like it. I don't like these ideas. I don't like these beliefs. No, but out of curiosity. Wait a minute, hold on. Are other people responsible for what? No, actually, it's me. I know, I see this now. Aha, it is me. Now, of course, that aha moment might be quite challenging to put into practice because you've spent your whole life developing the habit of going, oh, it's them, they make me feel like that. And so to bring the two together, the realization of a deeper truth to the actual action and in an interaction with someone who knows how to press your buttons and get them to get you to blame them, that bringing these two together, that's the challenge of the journey, really. You know, we're here. You're listening to me, and I'm talking. This is the theory, if you like. This is the manual being explained. But the reality, of course, as you well know, is out there. The real workshop is out there. If you want to put your relationships in that context, you know, because every relationship is a workshop. I'm not sure that's such a good idea, but if you want to make it so, it will be so. And the reason for that is that we've all succumbed to these illusions, these beliefs. You know, we're all asleep, if you like, to some degree or other. Some more than others, and some more than others in certain areas of their life, etc. We all need to do this work. Yeah. So finally, there's unlearning the beliefs that we've absorbed and accumulated. There's undeveloping. It's almost the same thing, really. I'm just kind of splitting the terms a little bit, and then finally there's undoing, which really is the question: how do you do that? How do you do all that? And that's really based around um, the self awareness is the thread that sort of ties it all together. It's becoming more self aware. That's why meditation is such a vital practice. Is that it cultivates, helps you cultivate your own self awareness. When I say self awareness, I don't mean awareness of self. Oh dear, here we go. What I mean is the awareness of what's occurring within yourself. Yeah, you can't actually be self aware in the true sense, because it's the self that is being aware. The self is awareness, and in that sense, you are awareness. And so the more you meditate, the more you become aware of what's arising within your consciousness, the thoughts that are coming up, the feelings that are coming through, the impulse to act that in certain ways that seem to come from inside out. And you go, did I really think that? Did I really say that? Did I really do that? I'm like, yeah, we do that. We look back and we regret the impulses, and where did they originate? Within me, within my consciousness. So the more you meditate, the more you begin to see your thought patterns, your habitual feelings, your emotional outbursts. You begin to see them more clearly, and you begin to see that they are originating within you. You begin to see that. And that's very powerful once you start to see that. Some of it's not so nice, some of it is a little bit unpleasant, and there's times when you get sucked into the feelings and there's times that you allow the emotion to come out in action and your reactivity to others. Of course, that's bound to happen. But the more you meditate, and I really mean the more, because you not just one quick session or a quick 5-minute meditation at the end of a lecture or whatever like we do here, but the more you sit down and meditate on your own and begin to maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you begin to see what's going on within you, you begin to become more aware. And that is essential to you inducing from inside out what's called the aha moments, the moments of realizing, now I understand why I'm thinking that, why I'm judging that person all the time, because I see them as a threat. And the only way I can defend myself against my perception, there's a habit of perception of seeing them as a threat. The only way I can do it is to judge them, is to put a label on them. Yeah, and then I can hold them and sort of and then ignore them. You see, we see the process. I mean, this is one little aspect of every process that's going on that originates within me. And some people are not, they don't want to see all that. They just, hey, just give me a cup of tea and nice book and a good movie, and I'm quite happy. Other people are, oh my God, oh, this is fantastic. I really get it. I really understand. And I'm really curious. What else is going on in here? And so you've got people down both ends of the spectrum, and whoever's listening to this tonight be sitting in different places in that spectrum. Yeah, and that's fine. Everyone's at a different state of readiness to become aware, if you like, to become more aware. So finally, when you become more aware, when you do practice some kind of meditation, contemplation, reflection, or whatever, you do begin to see with greater clarity what's going on within you. Then you'll start to unravel. You'll start to undo. Yeah, what's sometimes called habit. Many people they think I've got to change this habit, smoking or reacting this way, or this habit of rejecting that. But I've got all these habits and they seem to be ruling my life. I want to change them. And then they pick up books and they go along and they say, well, it takes 26 days to change a habit, to have a new habit, or whatever. And for me, none of that is well, it's useful for some people, obviously. But for me, if I want to change a habit, I have to get down to the root of the habit. I have to understand what is that it's initiating. Where's the habit coming from? A little bit like your garden. If you just cut the weeds off at the surface, then the weed will come back. But if you get to the root and you pull the root out, then you won't get a weed anymore. So it's a little bit like that. And so that means I've got to understand what's in a habit, basically. What's in the habit, which is recorded in my consciousness. It's not recorded in my armpit or my knee or my chest. It's recorded in my consciousness. That's where the habit has its core, its root, if you like. So I need to understand, I need to do a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes on a habit. The best way to understand a habit, and it's quite easy in theory, not so easy to see in practice, but again, in your meditation and your expanding and awareness, you'll begin to see this for yourself. And the best way to describe it is a little bit like a cable that brings your television picture and sound into your house at night. It's called a coaxial cable. And if you cut a coaxial cable, if you see a cross section of it, you'll see that it's ringed. It's made of different materials, and the outer ring is plastic. So there's a layer of plastic, and then you have a layer of metal gauze, sort of gauzy type material. Then you have another very thick plastic, and then through the center you have copper wire. And so the gauze and the wire, they're not meant to connect, they're not meant to attach to each other, but all of that brings in the sound and the picture to your television at the back. That's really just a metaphor which describes a habit, how the habit is shaped in our consciousness. And the outer level of plastic is the behavior. And so that's the action. It's the memory of the action, the recorded memory of the action, because the habit's like a record. It's like a memory. The whole thing's like a memory. So the outer layer is the memory of the behavior. And so then you've got the next ring, the next level, and that's the memory of the emotion, that was behind the behavior. So if you got angry and you behaved angrily, so there's the memory of that anger. And then behind the anger, another is the thought that triggered the anger. It might have been a judgmental thought or a hateful thought or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's the thought that triggers the emotion. So there's a recording of that thought. There's a memory of that thought. And then there's another ring. And behind the thought, and deeper and more subtle still in the memory, is the perception. Is the glass half full or half empty? the perception, the interpretation. Prior to thinking about what you were interpreting. So it's the interpretation, and it's quite subtle. And then prior to the interpretation, there is the belief. There's a belief that's shaping the perception. And so there's the root of that habit. That's the root cause. It's this idea of belief. And so I'll give you an example. I just have to say one word, and it might trigger one of your habits, one of your recorded memories from the past in your consciousness. It might just be one word I can say, and that word is rats. And so when people hear the word rats, sometimes some people, they behavior, jump up on the chair. Emotion, fear. Thought, rats. Perception, rats are horrible little things. Belief, rats can kill. Rats kill people. So I've kind of slow motion. It's a slow motion down. And you can see, there it is. Now other people, they don't jump on the chair. They don't create fear. They don't think rats are horrible creatures. They just go, oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. They might even say, oh, rats. Oh, okay. Aren't they furry little creatures? They're nice to touch or whatever. And so they have a different response. Because they don't have that recording. They don't have that core in their consciousness. So there's nothing for them to undo. But we might want to undo that. And one day, if we're let's say we're given a pet rat, and we nice little things, suddenly our belief about rats will change. And so all of those previous recordings, they'll all dissolve. They'll all atrophy. Because I don't energize them anymore. I don't give them the energy of me. And so they atrophy, they fall away, disappear. And so the habit disappears. Why? Because I changed my belief about rats. You get it? And so that's how you change a belief. Change a habit, is get to the belief that it's at the core. Because every habit we have is founded on a belief, which is really almost next to an experience, some kind of experience. And we've created a belief in relation to that experience. Sometimes just the word Trump might trigger a certain or whatever in some audiences. In other audiences, it might trigger a laughter. And so who knows? It's just sometimes just one word triggers a habit, or one situation triggers a habit. So one person triggers this habit, but they don't trigger that habit. And so now it's getting it. Now I'm curious. Wow, why do I keep reacting in this way to that person? What's the belief that I'm carrying about them in my consciousness that I need to change if I don't want to keep reacting irritatingly or anxiously or with fear whenever they walk in the room? There's one belief I need to change. And if you learn to meditate, if you learn to reflect or learn to contemplate, you'll begin to see the subtlety, those subtle aspects that make up the habits that you've created over time and that all together make up your personality right now today. Because that's what your personality is. It's just like a matrix of habits. A matrix of impressions left in your consciousness that you have created, not anyone else, but you create for yourself. So if you've created them, if you've learned them, if you've developed them, then you can unlearn, you can uncreate. Now, why would you want to do that? Because these are the things that disturb your inner peace. They kill your ability to be caring and loving towards others. They make you feel empty. They make you feel lonely. They make you feel strange. And so, in other words, they are the source of any unhappiness you feel. And of course, maybe you've been tolerating, as we all do, tolerating that unhappiness. Sometimes we call it stress, for a long time. And that's what we've done. We've tolerated it as long as we can. And then there comes a moment, maybe that moment hasn't fully arrived yet, when you go, oh, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something different. I need to understand what's going on. And it tends to drive you inside. And you go, wait a minute, it's something I'm not doing. So was it me, or is it, oh, it's not this, me? And so, okay. And so then you begin your journey. Or not, as the case may be. Maybe you have already started your journey, and everyone's journey is different. Everyone will be looking at different things. But that's the primary practice, is this idea of, I mean, call it meditation, and it's not the panacea for all ills. It's really, in simple terms, the cultivation of self-awareness. And when you sit to learn how to do that, you'll notice that you can't. You find it quite, well, not everybody, but most people notice, well, I can't meditate. There's just all these thoughts, all these feelings, and all these memories are getting in the way, and I just don't feel peaceful at all in this meditation. And of course, that's what happens to begin with for some. And that means you're becoming more aware. You're becoming more sensitive to the memorized thoughts, to the triggered emotions, to the feelings that are coming up. And they're not coming from outside, they're coming from within you. And somebody goes, oh, I don't want to look at this. That's what some people say. I don't want to look at this. I don't want, meditation doesn't work for me. I'm off somewhere else. But if you persevere, if you stick with it, then you'll begin to see, and you'll begin to notice, oh, these thoughts come and go, and these feelings come and go, and that's coming, and nothing stays, nothing is permanent, and the only permanent thing, maybe you'll begin to notice, hopefully sooner than later, the only permanent aspect of all of this is the one who's looking, is me, and I'm always here. Thoughts are not always here, and feelings are not always here, and memories, and they all come and go. Isn't this what a show? Let me enjoy the show. And so you start watching the show, just like you're watching a movie. You're watching the show going on inside. These images, these ideas, they're all coming up, and they're all going, and I'm okay, I'm fine. So eventually your practice of meditation will take you towards that. But in between, there might be moments when you go, oh my God, what's going on in here? And that's okay too. That's okay too. Everything is okay, ultimately. It's probably useful for me to say that, everything that I've been sharing with you, all these beliefs and so on, they're not wrong, they're not bad, they're not something that you shouldn't have within you. They're just there. It's it's this lovely old saying, is the secret to life is loving what is. It's just there. They just are. However they got there, or when you put them there in the past somewhere, it doesn't really matter. It's just they're there. So let's be curious and understand them, see them clearly now, and see the deeper truths that are already also there within me. The goblet, the shining, radiant goblet that I am, metaphor for consciousness, is already there. It's there within me. I just need to reveal it. That's a good word, actually, revelation, is to reveal it to yourself first, and then it will shine out into the world around you. It's good. So let's finish with a few moments of quietness together, and maybe practice a little bit of that meditation, and just to sort of finish off. And maybe you will see something with a little greater clarity for yourself. So meditation, it's very simple. Step one is, and I would recommend you don't look at the screen while I'm speaking, because if you watch me, then you're sort of grabbed by the images, and you want to set yourself free from having your attention pulled by any external image. So just focus your eyes on something in front of you, and close your eyes if you want, it's okay. But ultimately you want to do this with your eyes open. So just rest your eyes in front of you, and then just relax your body in the chair. It's the first stage of any meditation, is just to relax all your energies. And to help you relax and be fully present in your consciousness, is just focus your attention on your breath, just for a few moments. Just follow your breath. Once again, many methodologies of meditation will begin with your breathing. So if you want to just follow your breath, Don't force, just watch the complete cycle of your breath. And then you become even more relaxed, but very aware. So then bring your awareness to yourself and just take a moment and see if you can be aware of yourself being aware. And then within your awareness, just create one thought, one simple thought. I am a being of peace. I am a being of peace. And let that thought just float across your mind very slowly. And then let that thought dissolve into the background. And notice what remains. There's a feeling of peace, a feeling of calm, of quiet. And let that feeling expand to fill your being. Don't fight it, just allow it to be present. So the mind is quiet, silent, and there's a stillness here at the heart of your being. Silent and still. Silent and still. And then bring your awareness back to the room around you. But bring that stillness with you. So as you listen through these ears, hear from that stillness. As you look through these eyes, see from that stillness. It's good. Thank you. So, once again, if you do have any questions or anything you'd like to say, comment, or ask, then fire them into Inner Space in Wembley. Probably by email is best, and they'll forward them on to me. And so next week, I believe we have a fantastic talk on, I think it's this idea of loneliness versus solitude. Very appropriate to this particular chapter that we're all sharing and going through at the moment, otherwise known as lockdown and social isolation. So it's very appropriate too. to explore this particular subject. So it's good. So thank you very much for listening and watching and participating. And it's been an honor to be able to join you. And until the next time, I say farewell. Thank you.